so it's really just the fact that the developer wouldn't realistically consider that as an alternative.
Right. I mean, I think they can state that. They don't build senior housing, they don't build
Right.
retail, right?
Right.
But, yeah, the landowner's not the applicant. You are. Everything to add there?
Do you build senior housing?
No, but when I look, I do think it's important though, because when I look at what the handbook provides, it is looking at, when you have a project that may not conform 100% to the zoning law, it is important to know what could be done at the property, right? Just so that everyone understands what other alternatives are.
But, yeah, so I just want to clarify something. So the use, like I'm trying to find, I'm like looking at the handbook trying to get what you're referencing as you're talking.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at the handbook and like, you're correct, like when the handbook asks if the use doesn't comply, look at other alternatives. But the use isn't the issue here. So I agree with the planner that it doesn't make sense. You would never build a grocery store there, even if it is permitted. So it doesn't make sense to view that alternative. And I've done a lot of these throughout the course of my career, and it has to be something that would make sense. Like if you were building an ice cream shop and then you put a grocery store, sure, they both have coolers, like that makes sense. But something that's outdoor like that, it's just not comparable. And remember, it's all about reasonability scale, and it's not. I don't know how a grocery store, for example, would be a reasonable alternative. I think the key word there is reasonable uses. So use is not a problem here, and that's why they list site, technology, scales, project design, timing. They list other things for the alternatives, so you just don't focus on use as much. That's why the planner correctly put, zoning. He put in like moving over like the setbacks, like how would it look if you remove some of the panels. Those are more reasonable. So I would focus on like use is one criteria out of like 5. So just pick a different criteria because it conforms to the use. Unless you disagree. Yeah.
I don't have any additional comments. I still.
I'm trying to answer your question.
No. I understand, and admittedly, there is not a lot of authority on that specific issue, 100%. My thought was just whenever I look at these projects, I always like to highlight that, of course, because I do think it's important just for, when you're looking at a lot, what can you do with it, especially a lot that's very large in size, right? There's a lot that you can do with it. And, as far as solar, the setbacks are much more substantial than most other uses. So I would still advocate for including it. Admittedly, we have the regs and then we have the secret handbook, but there isn't a lot of authority out there that says, because probably hasn't been litigated very often. So that's why I just think it makes sense to include that as well in that alternatives discussion.
I think the over-inclusive is okay, but if you only included that and ignored the planner's suggestions, I would argue it might not meet the threshold needed for the alternative section under seeker. So I take your point. I just think it's unbalanced, and you really only put that alternative. I mean, you played a little bit with the setbacks, but I think it's more you have to add these things rather than take away. So if you want to include it, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's not. You're not well rounding out the total alternative section. It has other requirements that were not met in this initial draft.
Oh, right, and I don't think there's any, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any opposition to any of the included alternatives. I think that's fine. Yeah, there's no concerns with those. Those will all be included in the DEIS.
Right, so Planner Warner, Attorney Britton, again, the additional alternatives may be added as a result of scoping is that they may be added in the DEIS, which they write, and then we say, we love that or we hate that or whatever.
We want to make sure the final.
They could come up with something like housing or monster truck rally or whatever, and then we could be like, that's a terrible idea, or that should definitely be included at that point.
I think we want the final scoping document to lay out the alternatives. We don't want to use the DEIS.
But additional alternatives may be added as a result of scoping makes me think that it's not done in the next 2 weeks.
It can be.
I'm just saying, the way it's worded right now makes it seem like this is done later.
No, I mean,
as a result of scoping.
As part of scoping, maybe was a better word.
Okay.
Because we're in scoping right now.
Right.
I also think, to clarify, and I didn't write this, but I assume it's put that way, because if one of the residents is like, oh, well, compare it to this, and that makes sense, there was a reason we leave links in the documents, because comments, there are really good comments that come out of neighbors and experts, so there's a reason that's written that way.
Right. We left it open to see if anything else was presented tonight. But as far as the the alternative, like, you know, uses, other permitted uses. It's a long list. It's not reasonable. It doesn't seem realistic. And
That
also,
they would do it because they are a
Right.
solar energy company.
right. So we wanted to narrow it down to like solar projects, alternatives for solar use at this site that the board can evaluate. Again, a lot of the time, you can back me up on this maybe. Sometimes lead agencies want to adopt an alternative as like the preferred alternative at the end of the secret process because they find that it's better. I don't know if the board wants to be in a position to say, yeah, let's put a grocery store on this site. It's because, especially if they can't do it. Just again,
You build grocery stores?
Well, no, but I don't think the
Okay,
board could
let's-
mandate a grocery store.
No, we can't.
No.
So let's move on.
can't mandate it, but you could.
No, but the board can adopt an alternative that is acceptable as part of the final scoping process. That's the point of doing the alternatives. So I just did one with an affordable housing project where the board adopted the alternative of 50% less units with a different affordability factor. That's perfectly permissible under secret, and the board can mandate that. So if you're offering a grocery store, I mean, I'm not saying the board will do that, but that's why the reasonableness matters, because that's the point of the alternatives. They're not just to show what, like, oh, other uses can go here. It's to show, well, maybe, like, that's why it's focusing on setbacks. It's like, well, maybe we shift the project over. Maybe we only do half the panels. And that's the purpose of the alternative section. And I've seen a lot of boards, like, it's not just one that adopt the alternatives. It's pretty common during this, like, the scoping session to pick elements out of alternatives, or maybe not the whole alternative, but to be like, we actually liked not having a third story, and kind of doing a mishmash at the end, especially if it's something like special permit versus a site plan where you have more flexibility.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're about to open the public scoping session here. Let's go through opening it, and then I'll just have a couple things to say, and then we'll hear from the public, and then we'll continue. So, public scoping session for Wingdale Solar. Motion to open this secret public scoping session made by
So moved.
Member Williams, seconded by Member Villano. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of opening this public scoping session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay, that passes with a vote of 5-0 with one recusal. Okay, so we have 3 people on the list. Anybody else who would like to speak? We'll give them the opportunity after these 3 people. Just want to go over a couple things really quick. This is a time-sensitive process. As you heard the planner say earlier, we have our meeting in 2 weeks, on May 18th. We need to vote on this. Whether you are in favor of this project or not in favor of this project, we will be voting on a scoping document on May 18th. It might be exactly like this. It might be changed. If we don't vote on this scoping document, then the scoping document they proposed is the scoping document. So tonight is not about, oh, I think this is a great project, I think this is a terrible project. It's about this document and what we're doing with this document. So each person will have 3 minutes to speak to the scoping document. And the first person is Steve Kosar. And I'm sorry, just Mr. Kosar, just before your time starts, just another thing I said earlier, and Planner Warren said a little bit, just to make clear, when we do other public hearings, a lot of times you'll ask a question and we're trying to be helpful and we want to say this or that. There won't be any of that tonight. It'll just be you're giving your statement, you're asking questions, you're welcome to ask questions. They won't be answered right now. So that's not how the process works for this. So, okay, 3 minutes, Mr. Kosar, please.
Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to point out that there are several endangered species in this location that they're talking about doing this in. I'd like to point out there's been no talk about the disruption that developing 16 acres will do to rodents that will affect the school, the homes on Hillside Avenue and Highview Drive. The cutting down of the trees, it's 380 trees with a half-foot or more diameter that they could plan on having no problem with erosion and water runoff, but once it's there, will there be future problems with that? I have a question in changing the number of modules from 6762 to, I believe, 7613 in this proposal. And I've wondered about the impact on water and the impact it would have with our fire department. I don't know if I've heard anything about the volunteer fire department speaking about anything on this project. And we're talking about the view and the noise. What about on Saturdays and Sundays? What about people that are home during the day? So that should be a good indication of there's 24 hours, so to speak, to look at this project. And it's been said before, this project doesn't really benefit this town and has huge impact on, environmental impact on the property and the surrounding locations around this property. And I believe it should not be allowed to go through. And company that's doing this project's from Spain, set up an LLC in New York to do this project. They're not from town. The land is owned from outside of town. I just think there's a lot of problems with where this is, with the setbacks, and I just don't believe it should be allowed because of the problems that have been brought up before and tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Haley, sorry, I'm having trouble reading your last name. If you could just state your last name when you get to this podium.
Haley Harrelson.
And your students.
So the project location is part of the wildlife corridor between the mountains and 10 Mile River. The majority of the property is northern white cedar, which is a slow but prone species, providing habitat and coverage for species migration between the mountains and the river. The field is prime habitat for various species, including the New England cottontail, listed status a species of special concern. Clearing and developing this property displaces numerous species, increases habitat fragmentation, changes migration patterns. The soil structure, according to the USDA Dutchess County Soil Survey, for Stockbridge Silt Loam, and there's 3 types of that location, I believe.
Excuse me, could you please speak into the mic? Thank you.
Thank you.
The soil structure, I think there were 3 types listed on the project for that particular type silt loam. Has medium to very severe erosion hazards once disturbed. So right there, right now it's not disturbed, so it's good soil. Soil disturbance to this site has potential for runoff, even with mitigation efforts. Soil disturbance also increases potential for invasive species to take root. Poison hemlock is a prevalent species in the surrounding areas. I deal with it on my own property. The solar farms installed on land creates urban heat island effect, increases local temps, impacts atmospheric deposition from the altered wind patterns from installing those. Soil and habitat under the solar panels are altered over time. Glare from the panels disturbs bird migration. And lastly, it's ugly. I don't think there's anything you can do to cover the view of the panels without interfering how they work. Alternate suggested plan, maybe donate the property to like Dutch Land Conservancy or frogs.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Paula Oakes. Sorry? You're good. Okay. I mean, you've already signed up, so.
I mean, I pretty much think everybody covered it.
You have 3 minutes.
And I was here a few months ago and spoke about, how I think it will affect the environment, the species, all the wildlife that we have on the property up on Highview. Things that I left here thinking about though, and I haven't heard anything about, and my concern is, of course, my neighbors and everyone else, it's not gonna benefit anyone here, we talk about all of that. But when it comes down to it, I really was thinking about the kids. So I hear everyone talking about Wingdale Elementary School. We've also got Gaster School over there.
I don't know if there's any kind of evacuation plan on here. My kids are grown up now. I can easily pack up my family, my dog if a fire happens and clear out. But God forbid something happens while these kids are in session at the school. I did pull up different things about solar panels and solar farms and fires happening, and there are things here in the US that they have taken place, and it's taken hours to distinguish them. Toxic chemicals out in the air. You know, we're not talking about the high school where kids can get in the cars and drive off or load kids in with the teachers. I mean, these are little kids. I don't know what kind of, you know, if they're talking about an evacuation plan in this proposal. But I definitely think, I know my neighbor brought up that, you know, the whole thing with the fire department. You know, I don't know if anything is clearly thought out and written out on there about that. So I think that's something that should definitely be addressed. And other than that, you know, I agree with all my neighbors. Like I said, we all came out here several months ago and talked about all of our concerns, but I left here thinking I never brought up the kids and what that might look like for them, God forbid something were to happen. And I don't think we want to be the town that, you know, that happens here and we say, oh my gosh, we didn't think about that or consider that. Like, these kids were all subject to breathing all that in if something happens. So I think that's something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course. Just please state your name and address when you get to the microphone, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Sue Kosar. I live on 11 Highway Drive. I just had a few questions. Like, well, one point on the noise in Chapter 3 on the form. I think I would like to propose that you make the measurement like on a weekday and a weekend, because when people are mowing the lawns, it's really loud, and so I don't think that you should count that as a normal day. So I would like to see that, not just a 24-hour, but like a weekday and a weekend, so that, you know, get a really true estimate of what the noise really is like. And then, I think, I think it was yeah, I wanted, one other thing about the alternatives. Like, I agree with what our lawyer said, because I think, what our attorney said, because I think that if you're gonna build a supermarket or something like that, or you're gonna propose it, then that's a whole nother study you have to do, like on the environment, the traffic, the water. So if you propose a whole nother project, then I think it should be substantiated with all of the other factors that would be involved. So I totally agree with that, what was spoken about. And then the other thing was like what my husband said about the animals in the area. I think even like up close, I work with inverters, and I noticed they added one, and they also added the additional panels, and they're really loud. And when you're within like 3 feet of them, you have to wear earplugs. It's really, really unbearable. So just the noise level for the surrounding environment, the species that live there. But that was another concern. I didn't really see that addressed in this form. So, you know, I just saw like the neighbors, but this affects animals, rodents, like my husband said. So that's all I have to say for now, but I do have a question about how long we can submit comments, because really the 60 days, I thought started from when they submitted this, which was 4/20. So to me, 60 days would have been June. So I thought we would have more time to make comments, but that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. All right, any other members of the public wishing to speak, please come to the podium at this time. Okay, so as previously discussed, we were looking to close this public scoping session tonight, leaving it open for written comments until this Wednesday at noon. Again, because of the tight time frame that SECRA requires of us. So, need a motion to close the public hearing, open for written comments until noon this Wednesday, May 6th. Motion made by Member Villano, seconded by
Second.
Member Williams. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, that motion passes 5-0 with one recusal. So again, anyone who'd like to submit a written comment regarding this scoping document can do so to the planning secretary by email by noon on Wednesday. Okay. So then just next steps is we will be discussing this document as is, possibly revised, at our meeting 2 weeks from tonight. We will be voting on this or a similar document at our meeting 2 weeks from tonight. And then that will be the guide for the applicant to write a draft environmental impact statement, which then, after they write it and submit it to us, becomes our document where we can then change it and do what we feel is correct. Is there anything further you wish to add, Planner Werner or Attorney Britton or
Nope.
Engineer Berger?
Sums it up good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is Lake Ellis Country Inn.
Hey everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome back. Some other people move in the neighborhood. So we had some other people move into the neighborhood.
Just clear it up.
All right. Just okay. So this is your document, and then.
All right. Cool.
All right.
All right. As you are all aware, my name is Peter Sander from Rennie Engineering. We're representing the applicant on this one, which is to convert an existing residential property into a country inn and conference center. The property is 236 acres, plus or minus, in the RU Rural District. The proposal plans to convert two existing structures, the main house and a garage, into the main house with 12 lodging units and the garage as the annex with 6 lodging units. The planning board met out on the site April 18th, and from what I heard, there were no significant comments that needed to be addressed. But our most recent submission was Werner's comment letter, and it included the full EAF for the major project application, the agricultural data statement, a revised CRIS map showing where the archaeological buffer is in relation to buildings, which is outside. We included a new disturbance area of 0.44 acres, so it doesn't hit that half-acre threshold requiring the erosion control permit, or the acre threshold requiring a SWIP. We added our narrative, we added some event data, where we were talking about a maximum event size that this site could anticipate. Now it'd be about 200 people. Again, this is not the primary intent of this facility. The applicant owns other places that are more suited for a larger event. Really what we anticipate is that 18 lodging units being the primary use for a conference retreat, such as if someone wanted to get a corporate retreat to go over a workshop or a family getaway into the countryside. That's really what this is primarily focused on. But we did provide the event data, and we also provided traffic figures to go along with that. As you'll note in the traffic figures, none of them exceed that 100 vehicle hour max trip threshold that would report any future traffic studies. So at this point, I believe we've addressed all the board and the consultant's concerns, and We're requesting that this project get circulated as part of the seeker circulation to Dutchess County Planning. And if it's possible, we would like to have the public hearing scheduled for May 18th for this. But I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or their consultants may have.
I have a question. So for operations, when I first saw this project, and I apologize, I don't have your most recent submission. But are you going to rent it out? Like, can I and another group all rent it out? Or is this going to be rented by one entity every time?
It's really intended to be one entity, maybe two, if like, say, one wanted to rent the main house and the other the annex,
Okay.
which are the two separate structures, but it's not intended for, oh, I'm gonna go with 2 people, rent a room, and another 2 people.
Right, it's not meant to be a hotel or.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
just
more like a
clarifying
group.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so let's, anything further, Attorney Britton? Planner, you don't have to apologize. Planner Werner?
So, yeah, I mean, this just came in for the May 18th deadline, so we didn't get a chance
Yeah.
to fully review all the latest submissions,
Right.
but we will have comments for the meeting on the.
Yeah,
18th.
this was mainly just we had the site walk and discuss, the site walk.
But they did submit everything that as far as like documents, like the EAF, Part 1, full, and other information. I mean, I don't know if we can make a determination if it's for circulation. I haven't had a chance to go through everything, but
Sure.
certainly the board has the option to do that if they feel like, from their perspective, it's complete application. But I wasn't planning to, I didn't have anything in writing.
Yeah, no,
for this.
tonight was really just that we had the site walk. We wanted to discuss the site walk, the project a little further, see what other questions any planning board members might have based on the site walk. And then on the 18th is when we would do more thorough review of the.
Okay.
Chairman Cortum, we still have not received the escrow for this.
Oh.
And I will be out for medical reasons next week, so I would not be able to get this ready for a public hearing for the 18th.
Yeah, no, again, we're not going to be voting on a public hearing tonight for the 18th. I do anticipate that we will likely vote on the 18th for a public hearing for June, what was it, 1st? Was that next meeting?
June 1st.
So that's a possibility.
Okay.
So I was on the site walk. Member Robertier was on the site walk. Member Verlano was on the site walk. Williams was on the site walk. So again, it's taking a very large residence and converting its use. One of the questions that came up on the site walk was about it being a minor project or a major project based on the square footage threshold, because the building's already built, but it's a major project because the use is changing from someone's very big house to.
Yeah, and it has that modification of an existing structure. I think it's
I
the
think-
5,000 square
Yeah,
foot.
between the two buildings, it
Yeah.
exceeds the threshold, I think yeah.
Yep.
So it's a major, everybody agrees it's a major
Yeah, and they
project now.
submitted a full EAF as required for major projects.
Yeah,
special
I just didn't know
projects.
if Planner Block brought that up as
I
something
think
that came up on the site walk, just.
I think it was something that we had in our first comment memo as why we thought it was major.
Right. Yeah, it was just your colleague, Mr. Rennie brought up, like, well, is it or not?
Yeah, we were talking about it in the office. I brought it up and showed him the part. So yeah, it's definitely a major project.
Yeah.
We're not arguing with that at all.
Okay. All right. I don't know if it's it's a built-out site. It didn't look like much more needed to be done. There was discussion during the site walk and then kind of after the site walk. Really, at that point, it was just myself and engineer Berger in terms of locations of overflow parking.
Correct.
So originally, there was discussed about having overflow parking down here, but helpful if I face it the right way. Down here by the tennis courts, because there's a roadway that comes in like this. But then, as we were just kind of like up here in the parking lot, it was discussed, well, if you had the additional parking just up along this roadway, you'd avoid some issues down here potentially, and, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add about that conversation, because it was you and I and Mr. Renia, who's not here, so just,
No, we pointed out
Yeah.
that there was concerns, and
right.
in the field, Mr. Enia suggested what they show here on the modified plan, they're bringing it up on the by the building.
Yeah.
So yeah, we included that in the newest round of revisions.
We see that.
On-street parking, and then some of this off-spot, exactly where you
Yeah,
described.
and again, like I said, we're gonna get into this more fully on the 18th, so.
Okay.
Just wanna make sure everybody's aware this came up on the site walk, and that's really why the change.
And the overflow parking is not to be constructed, it's just area reserved, it's gonna be grass. Not
Right.
demarked with anything, it just stays grass.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
yeah.
it's just where you would place the cars if needed. There's no construction, no alteration of the ground.
Right.
Yep.
No disturbance, right?
Yeah, and again, this is not the primary focus. This is if someone wanted to use the event.
Right, it's like a wedding.
At wedding, because right now the facilities aren't enough to carry a 200-person event. You need to throw up a tent and
Right.
bring stuff in. It's just not really for that.
Right.
But just to have that option open is what we're intending.
Right. So again, the intention is, what would you say, to have anywhere from 0 to pick a number weddings? It might be 0, but it might be 1 or 2, or,
Yeah, I don't want to put a number on it because we don't know.
you don't want to say it's 0, because someone might want to do it, and it could
Yeah,
work.
I can't even imagine 10 at this point, because it really would be completely weather dependent, being that it's all outdoor facilities, tents and such.
Right.
So really it has a very limited window.
Right.
Where they can actually do something out there.
And you could have a small wedding there, and then you really wouldn't need the overflow parking, or maybe a little bit, but,
Right.
because there is a foyer area that, I mean, you could, what would you say, Engineer Berger, you could easily have like 50 people in that foyer area for an
Absolutely.
event if you wanted. Yeah, maybe 50 at most, 50 at most, but, okay. So,
Would it be possible to circulate it? I know not the public hearing at all, but if it's the application's complete, could maybe we get that clock rolling because of the 30-day?
I think the issue with circulation is I haven't reviewed it and neither has the planner. So if there's involved agencies, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'd want to review it in order to know who to circulate it to. I guess would be,
Right.
unless the
Okay.
planner has reviewed it, but I haven't, so I couldn't
It
recommend.
was more the county, was it the county referral?
Yeah, it's because of that ag.
there's an
district.
agriculture,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think otherwise it's unlisted, and I don't think it was coordinated.
No,
We were, yeah.
you didn't say that.
So it's really it's really the county referral,
County 230.
and maybe well, I think it wasn't already referred to the fire department for comment last meeting?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Because I think that was one of our recommendations too, that fire, because it's going to host a lot of people, and
I see that we recommended that. I don't see that we did that, if that makes sense, unless
Yeah.
sent it.
oh,
I think
okay.
I just sent for Sherman Hill. I did not send for
Okay.
this.
Wait, because we said the plan wasn't done enough to send it to fire department.
Right.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And again, they've added in parking, there could be an issue where you've placed the overflow parking might be problematic for a fire truck.
Yeah.
We don't know, okay.
Which is,
So we can make those kind of referrals, I believe, in total on the 18th.
okay.
Whether it's the,
The 2
the
weeks.
county, fire
2
department,
weeks.
whoever else.
Okay.
Okay. Any other members of the planning board, have any comments, questions?
No comment.
Add? Dalton, say anything further? Okay. So we'll see you again on the 18th.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, the amended Sherman Hill development.
Howdy, everyone. As you know, Peter Sand, representing Mike. We're here for the Sherman Hills amended site plan. So this project is an amendment to 2 of the lots that were previously proposed for 2-family residences. We're proposing to convert them to multifamily residences by adding a basement apartment inside each of the 4 buildings that are currently on the 2 lots. That will increase the total number of units from 8 units to 12 units. So again, very minor increase on this. The basement will have the bedroom and it will continue to have the communal laundry. If the board wants, I have copies of the basement floor plan with me here today, in case anyone wants it. And essentially laundry facilities and mechanical room. So again, this is very minor, but wanted to make sure the board had a chance to look at it.
I should have gotten it first.
So ultimately, I think we addressed most of the planning board's concerns with our initial submission. There's no need to increase parking or provide any sort of new site feature improvements. We're really here to discuss the site walk and to see if the board needs anything addressed before the next meeting. So with that, happy to do so.
All right, so I attended the site walk along with Engineer Berger Saturday or a week ago, and then there was another site walk on Monday, which was
Yes,
and Engineer Berger.
yes.
Okay. I don't know if you wanted to bring up anything, Member Palmer.
My only concern, which is really out of our purview, the septic was addressed at our last meeting, and the secondary egress, which Mr. Anderson looked at, and he felt that window egress was adequate, so that's in his court. Oh, I have no other questions.
You want to add anything, Engineer Berger?
No, I have no concern. Septic is a health department's being reviewed by a health department. There's no additional parking, so there's no new impervious. The sidewalk that's being proposed on the plan, because it wasn't approved in the original approvals, is already constructed because it was necessary to get the residents to the laundry room, which is the same entrance now. So technically, even though it shows concrete walks on your site plan, there is no new impervious being done since the sidewalks were built as a field change in the original approval. So the only changes will be a couple laterals that are dug for the septics. The tanks were already oversized. So this subsurface systems will have some lines put in, buried back over, grass seeded again. Those are the only changes you're making to the outside.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. So you hand us this. So each basement would be this or a mirror of this,
Yeah.
based on which side of the
Building
building. Okay. So there's the entrance from the exterior is on the left to a utility and a laundry, and then there's another doorway to what would be the basement apartment. Okay. So one issue that was brought up was regarding sprinklers. So what our building inspector wrote in an email, there's some emails back and forth. So let's see. I cannot entertain any deviation from sprinkler requirements because the structure has already been built, especially since the basement areas were finished out with the intention of future occupancy. Okay, so he's saying you need to put in sprinklers throughout the building.
No, we were discussing a alternative, we'll say, early on,
Okay.
and that's what he's referring to. I've had more chance to go into the code,
Huh.
and I still have yet to fully discuss it with the building department. I'm
Okay.
just putting it all together.
Mhm.
But now it appears that we do not need sprinklers because there's a clear exemption in the code under a change of occupancy in an existing building, is what it is. It falls under the existing building code of New York.
Mhm.
And as long as the building is fully fire detected, all right, which is, localized smokes in each dwelling unit and smoke detectors in common areas, that it's not required as long as all the dwellings don't share a common egress. Now, do take that with feedback
Right.
through the building department who has the
So
authority.
again, he wrote, especially since the basement areas were finished out with the intention of future occupancy. So is the basement already constructed like this?
Not entirely. It was finished based on the original submission and the original plan. It was like a communal space, so each, like, exterior wall, stuff like that. It wasn't divided into a building permit.
Right. Okay. I think we're going to need more clarification from the building inspector regarding what he believes should happen here. All right. So, I mean, obviously, he's aware of the application, clearly.
I also sent the application to the JHK host company.
Right. Okay. All right, so I think we need to have, the building inspector formally give us an opinion with regard to sprinklers and,
Mr. Chair, if I may.
yeah.
The building inspector is still researching on this and hasn't come to a definitive decision to give to the board at this moment.
Okay.
So as soon as, because I'm working with the building inspector on
Okay.
this, so the town is looking to get a decision on this. And as of tonight and today, that hasn't been made.
Okay.
So that will be coming, it's forthcoming to the
Yeah,
planning.
I mean, if he's working on it, I don't need to send a letter. Well, I don't think we need to send a letter then
No,
to
that's what I
say,
was
please
pointing
work
out.
on this. He's working on it.
He is working on it, he's aware of the need, and it's being done very diligently.
All right. All right,
And we were just discussing, this is really more of a building department issue. Right, and so ultimately, anything that's happening inside the building really isn't your responsibility, it's more Don's on this, so this really, the matter really shouldn't affect this application one way or the other.
right, the only,
Yeah.
the only concern I have is, the way he wrote this email, it seems as though there may be a violation of the previous approval of this planning board. So that's where it's possibly a concern for the planning board.
Gotcha.
So, but any other members of the planning board have any comments, questions at this time?
Just one quick question, and this is really a building department question. Is the sheet rock type X?
Yes, it's because it was a two-family,
Right, that's my question.
2-hour fire barrier, and then that whole ceiling down there had to be fire rated regardless of
Okay.
what's going on in the basement, because of the construction.
Thank you, that's another Don question.
Any other, anyone have any comments, questions?
No comment.
Mr. Sidor? Member Robadier? Member Lano? Okay. Whomever?
Yeah, there's just an update. There was at the last meeting, you set a public hearing for the 18th, so it's on for that.
Right.
You also referred to county planning and fire company and the code enforcement officer at that meeting, and county planning did already respond.
Right.
With a matter of local concern.
Okay. All right. Anything further, Planner Warner? Okay. Engineer Berger, anything
No,
further?
nothing else.
Okay. All right, so, public hearing is set for the 18th. You already picked up the
Yeah, I will.
sign from, okay.
And increase escrow.
All right. Our consultants have a recommendation?
I think we said 1,500 more.
Yeah, not much more, I don't think, because our review is pretty much complete. I mean, we're recommending the seeker determination be upheld from the original approval. If anything, it'll be just attorneys writing resolutions and figuring out any conditions. I don't think there's gonna be much more comments from AKRF on this, so I think just repeating the initial 1,500 should cover everybody's time.
Well, the initial was 2,000 now, so this would be
Oh.
an additional 1,500.
So maybe an additional 1,500 then over the 2,000 that was already done.
Okay. Anything further, Ed?
I concur, like, we're just gonna draft the resolution. That's all.
So, motion to increase escrow by $1,500. Motion made by. So moved. Member Palmer, second by. Member Sador. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. That motion passes 6-0. Anything further this evening?
That's it.
All right. So, yep. Please see Secretary Van Millen, and we'll see you on the 18th.
Excellent, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter, the
Sorry.
signs are in my
Yeah.
office.
Want me to just hang around, and we'll catch you after the meeting? All right.
Mr. Sanders, just on the previous application.
Lake Alice, yep.
Yes. If your applicant doesn't submit the escrow, we're not going to continue.
Understood, I sent a reminder
Okay.
today, because
Yeah.
everyone's been following up with me, so
Yes.
I'm on it.
Don't get on her bad side.
I try my best not to.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
All right, and last item really on the agenda is the Double JK Ranch accessory apartment. So again, went to site walk myself,
Good.
Engineer Berger. At the site walk, the representative for the landowner that was there informed us that they had a discussion with the building department that they're not going to be pursuing this application through the planning board, as it is their belief that this is agricultural housing, and that does not come before the planning board. So then this becomes a building department issue, and the building department can, at some point in the future, if they don't agree, can then say, no, you do have to go to the planning board. That summarize the conversation, Engineer Berger?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, the memo that the email they sent me was they're just putting it on hold.
Okay. I think they're putting the application on hold. I think they're building the apartment.
Yes.
Right.
They're building the apartment.
We're
Right, that's
on
what-
hold.
yeah.
We're on hold.
Putting on a hold meant
That's
the
what they're
application
doing.
before the planning board, not the
Yes,
construction.
Work is continuing.
Right. So again, that's the point. It becomes a building department issue. The building department believes it should come before the planning board, or someone else believes it should come before the planning board, then we will discuss it further. But,
Okay.
okay. Our next meeting is May 18th, for which the deadline is already passed. The meeting after that is June 1st, which has a deadline of May 13th. The meeting after that would be June 15th, which would have a deadline of May 27th. Any further business before the planning board? Okay, seeing no further business, I'll make a motion to adjourn, seconded by
Second.
Member Sador. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.